Hello and welcome to Kev Likes Movies. My name is Kev and oh god, I'm cranky. So for the past little while, my Twitter feed has been absolutely full of news coverage surrounding the film Coyote Vs Acme. Supposedly it's a live-action animated hybrid film about Wile E. Coyote suing the Acme Corporation over all the products that have backfired on him over the years. The film stars Will Forte as Wile E. Coyote's lawyer, and even features voice acting veteran Eric Bauza doing the voices of several Looney Tunes characters, which actually sounds great. I mean, how often do big studios actually hire dedicated voice actors over big-name celebrities? By all accounts, the movie was very well received by test audiences, and lucky them, because it looks like those test audiences are the only people who will ever be able to see this movie. Look, I'm gonna level with you. The purpose of this video is not going to be a history lesson on the whole ordeal. The purpose of this video is to allow me to complain. This is mostly just rumor and speculation based on reports of what's going on within Warner Brothers, and it's kind of hard to get a for sure timeline of what all has happened. I don't even have citations for a lot of the things I'm going to mention, so take everything I'm about to say with a grain of salt. This is still a developing story, and I'm sure that by the time this video comes out, it will already be outdated. And even if there were more concrete resources on what's happening, I'm not exactly great at doing things like research, but I'm gonna try my best to fill you in as much as I can as we go along. Folks, allow me to introduce you to David Zaslav, also known as the real-life Judge Doom. David Zaslav is the current CEO of Warner Brothers Discovery, and if you've ever had a Mac subscription, you know just what a fucking dumbass he is. Like, it used to be called HBO Max, but he got rid of the HBO branding, which is the thing that people actually recognize. People know what HBO is. Nobody knows what Max is. Now, I'm not a fancy big city CEO or anything. I'm just a dingus with a microphone and a poorly drawn avatar. I don't know what it takes to run a multi-billion-dollar corporation, but apparently neither does David Zaslav, because he seems hell-bent on running it into the fucking dirt. Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. Long story short, Coyote vs. Acme was set to release in July of 2023, but they ended up not releasing it to make room for Barbie. And I do kind of get that part as a move. Barbie was the biggest film of last year. You don't want your movies competing with each other. That's fine. What's not fine is what came next, because Coyote vs. Acme wasn't just delayed, it was removed from the release schedule entirely. And in November of 2023, it was announced that Coyote vs. Acme would not be released at all, because Warner Brothers Discovery preferred to write it off and claim it as a tax loss for $30 million. Which is baffling to me because the film cost $70 million to make. By not releasing it, the studio is guaranteed to lose $40 million, but I digress. Again, idiot with a microphone, I don't understand how claiming a film as a loss benefits the company that made it, especially when the film was never released and thus never given the chance to fail in the first place. Apparently, writing off a film as a loss means a reduction in taxable income, which means that the company gets to keep more of the money that they've already made within the year, which means that the executives and the shareholders also get to keep more money. The film cost $70 million to produce, but with advertising, publicity, a potential physical media release, that $70 million budget could rise to as much as $100 million or even more, which seems to me like something that they should have thought about when drafting the budget for the film in the first place, but let's not get ahead of ourselves here. I guess, on paper, I can kind of see why it might be beneficial to the studio to just put the film on the shelf and let it collect dust. Maybe they just couldn't see a world in which this movie made back its considerable budget. But David Zaslav isn't happy with letting the film rot on the shelf. He wants it to be destroyed entirely. Not just shelved, deleted, erased. And ever since word got out that Warner Brothers Discovery intended to delete the film, boy, that set the internet on fire. I have legitimately seen people go through the 5 stages of grief over this decision. From people claiming that it isn't a big deal, to folks wanting David Zaslav's head on a spike, to even suggesting that Mr. Beast buy the rights to the film and post it on his channel. Which is just a ridiculous concept because, while sure, Mr. Beast has fuck you money and could totally do that, why would he? Warner Brothers reportedly were not even interested in selling the film for any less than $75 to $80 million. They wouldn't even listen to counteroffers. The price is firm. I know what I have. I've heard some people speculate that Zaslav wasn't even interested in selling the film at all because he would be personally embarrassed if it came out and did well. That appears to be hearsay. I can't really find any sources for that. But personally, I kinda believe it. Just seeing all the back and forth with this situation. You think that this movie killed David Zaslav's father or something with how badly he seems to want this thing destroyed. And there are other bargaining tactics that people have suggested, like a crowdfunding campaign to buy the film off of Warner Brothers Discovery and enter it into the public domain, which is a nice idea. But personally, after all this, I don't want Warner Brothers Discovery to benefit from any of this. If they come out on top in any way, they don't learn their lesson, and there's nothing to stop them from doing this again in the future, like they already have with the Batgirl movie that they made and also wrote off. It's just like the Bobby Kotick situation with Activision Blizzard, where in order to finally get rid of him, Microsoft had to buy him out of his contract to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars. So yeah, he stepped down, but at this point, I'm not really sure I can call that a consequence. And I really do wish that there were more consequences for big corporations when they do stuff like this, because making a whole movie and then deleting it for tax benefits sounds an awful lot like fraud to me. And apparently the United States Department of Justice is actually looking into Warner Brothers Discovery right now. And this has a lot of people's hopes up, but from what I've read, it looks like the investigation is actually over antitrust concerns, which is something else that I don't fully understand. But it looks like a separate matter entirely dealing with preventing monopolies and whatnot. I don't have high hopes, because unfortunately, it looks like this is just the world we live in now. Big media companies can just do whatever they want. They can erase, delete, write off, and remove whatever they please, without a single care to the consumer or even the people who made the property in the first place. Film is a collaborative medium, and films are not just the work of one director, or writer, or actor. They are the collaborative effort of dozens, sometimes hundreds, of dedicated people. That's why movies have such long end credit sequences. That's a thank you to everyone that worked on the film, and also proof that they did work on it so that they can put it on their resume. And by not releasing it, that means that those people who worked on the film have nothing to point to say, this is what I was working on all those months/years. They can't say, I worked on Coyote Vs Acme and expect to get a job out of it, because nobody can see the work that they put into it. That's why stuff like this matters. Movies are a lot of hard work, and they take a lot of time. Time that has now been completely wasted because some dipshit in a suit decided that their efforts weren't worth as much as his bottom line. Sure, the actors and the crew members got paid for their time, but do you remember just last year when the Screen Actors Guild and the Writers Guild of America both went on strike? There's no telling how much those cast and crew members were paid, or if it was enough, or even if their benefits were even worth the effort. And now, the film is done, and they can't even take pride in its success, because Warner Brothers Discovery simply won't let them. And it's not just Warner Brothers Discovery either. Brand new TV shows and movies are taken down from streaming services all the time with no other alternatives to view that material. And if they're not archived in some way, they can instantly become lost media. Why do we live in a world where as soon as an intellectual property doesn't perform to some arbitrary standard, it's removed from existence and no one is allowed to experience it ever again? But if I get started on the pitfalls of the streaming era, we'll be here all night. I think you guys get the picture, so I might as well wrap it up here. I'm just so sick of the current streaming model and the movie industry in general, if I'm being honest. I recently read an interview with Justine Bateman on The Hollywood Reporter, where she said that streaming companies are designing their shows to be second screen content, background noise to leave on while you dick around on your phone. That's why so few recent shows end up being actually engaging. Companies rotate out crew members on a seemingly daily basis, make stale bullshit to leave on in the background, and then cancel the show when it inevitably fails to steal the viewer's attention away from TikTok. I know this is way off topic, but damn it, this video was my opportunity to complain. Sorry if this was a bit of a downer of a video. I really wish there was a more satisfying resolution to this whole story, but there just isn't one, I'm afraid. Coyote Vs Acme is staring down the barrel of a loaded delete key, and there's not much anyone can really do about that. But that's about all I've got for you today. I'm working on a bigger project at the moment, and I didn't want to go too long between uploads, so subscribe if you want to see that bigger project. Should be up soon. Alright, take care everyone.
I have a show! It's on Max! They used to call it HBO, but people found that too popular. So now it's Max, because that really rolls off the tongue.